welcome again to the Skillwork Forum. I'm Tim. As always, I'm joined with my partner, Brett here. And, we come together on these podcasts and talk about industry issues, emerging trends, changes, just really everything surrounding the skilled trades. And, Brett, we get together and we talk a lot about skilled trades. Particularly a focus of ours has been this gap in skilled trade staffing and all the challenges that go along with that. But there's also a lot of opportunities, particularly those that are looking for perhaps a career in the trades. And, some of the old stereotypes about the trades being somehow less than a white-collar profession, some of those are beginning to be challenged, and we're starting to see some trends away from that. So there's plenty of opportunity out there, plenty of opportunities exist for those that may be interested in entering a career in the trades. But the question is, if you're not currently in the trades, how do you get into that? How do you break into the skilled trades? So we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great topic because there's a ton of opportunity. A lot of people are kind of referring to this as the golden age of the skilled trades. There's a ton of opportunities, and not just low-level opportunities, really solid opportunities to make significant amount of money, things that you're very challenged in. There's a lot of high-tech roles. I think a lot of people, not that there's anything wrong, there's still jobs, skilled trade jobs where you're going to get your hands greasy and get your hands dirty, and that's okay. But there's also, a lot of high-tech roles now where high automation, high robotics, a lot of PLC work, that type of thing. So depending on where you want to go in that. And so with that, obviously with the demand, a lot of increase in pay and benefits as well. And so, and we'll get into it, obviously, opportunity to get into a lot of those opportunities with less debt than maybe some other avenues and stuff. And then with a company like ours, Skillwork, we provide, we do travel staffing for skilled trades. And so we provide an opportunity on top of this to find mobility and a lot more variety of choices of where you may want to go and work. And so, Tim, we've talked about it a lot over the years, the last several years, and that is what's driving this skilled trade shortage. Is it real? Is it this? Is it that? This really has nothing to do, with the pandemic. We tend to, seems like at least for a while, everything gets filtered through that question a little bit. Yeah. But even prior to pandemic, we always say the pandemic, sped this process up. But this whole exodus of the baby boomers and the lack of millennials coming behind them to fill, I think the numbers are roughly 3 to 1. I think for every 3 baby boomer that's basically leaving, retiring in essence, there's only 1 coming behind. So clearly that is creating a significant gap. Now, the good news is that the generation, and Tim and I aren't generational experts, but we believe the generation after millennials is what's referred to as Gen Z. And, that would be kind of your high school, even somewhat junior high, but primarily high school up through early 20s. Right now, what we're seeing, what the trends are, not just we, but what the studies are showing is that group, the Gen Z, is less, they're more wary of a lot of debt, a lot of college debt, and they're more embracing the careers and those opportunities. And we'll get into a little bit more, some more about that and what we're seeing.
Yeah, so I think there's some paradigm shifting going on. I mean, there's definitely a lot more opportunity. The stigma of, as you mentioned, just get your hands dirty, backbreaking work, a low amount of technology, that's definitely changing. Everything is getting more and more advanced and technical, increased pay, and all the things you mentioned. And I found it pretty compelling as I'm looking into this topic, that this idea of this Gen Z group that's coming up, and why would they be drawn into something like skilled trades? You would think they're more, grew up in technology. This is a generation that grew up with just assuming that cell phones and smartphones, everybody had them, and you had all the information at the tip of your fingers. But they are tech savvy, but they've got this attitude and desire to do it yourself. Maybe it's because they've always had YouTube to look at. Now it's TikTok. All of these quick and easy ability to look at how to learn how to do something and then apply it right away. So they're compelled by that. And they've also grown up in this gig economy kind of world where, and by gig economy, if you're not familiar with that term, we mean you can have a short-term job, a gig, like think of a band that has a gig. You can have a short-term opportunity that doesn't necessarily define what you're going to do for a long term. So they've grown up with this idea that I can switch, I can change, I can be mobile. I have a portable set of skills that's in demand that I can move around and I can apply, and I can also learn, apply technology. So where all these things combine, and they see kind of a target-rich environment for something that's been tagged blue-collar entrepreneurship. So they get a chance to go out on their own, start something, learn a trade perhaps, and kind of scratch that itch about, hey, I can do this myself with my own hands. So they're less compelled to move into a virtual world, like maybe millennials tended to go into, and more into a hands-on do-it-yourself world. So great opportunity for them to move into a skilled trade. So that's really exciting for us.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so yeah, really, whether you're even, in this case, I guess, on the tail end of the baby boomers, whether you're there, whether you're a millennial or a Gen Zer, as you begin to kind of explore, is this trade space, whether you're changing careers, like I said, somebody that's maybe for long, or you're somebody that's looking, on the front end of this question. I think as you evaluate, what's the right path, and I think the key is we're getting more comfortable with saying there's a variety of paths that we can go down. That there's not just a very narrow path of four-year college or whatever the case may be. And so I think you have to start asking yourself: are you the type of person that loves to know how things work? If you're that person, who just has that, I think, Tim, you've got a grandson, that's what, 6th grade or so now, and he wants to know how it works. He loves to watch, that type of science, or the fix-it guy.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always wanting to learn, continual learner, and then he likes to go and apply it. So he'll watch something on, how rockets are made, then he wants to go in my garage and he wants to build a rocket with me. So we don't quite get to the space shuttle level of engineering, but yeah. So he's kind of got that bent,
Yeah,
so.
He's got that, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that, and Tim mentioned a minute ago, part of this is this desire to fix things. So you have to ask yourself: do you thrive on fixing stuff that's broke, or tinkering to make things better? My sons are now in their 20s, but and they will both immediately, anytime they're doing something around the house, they'll always go, well, here, we'll just pull up a video, and see how that's done. There's one out there, I think, for everything now.
Yeah, right.
And so if that's a tendency, if you're the person who goes, I got no interest in fixing anything, then maybe this isn't the right path, for you. So, and then obviously, or not maybe so obviously, but do you like to work with your hands? I mean, do you like being more engaged? Do you like problem solving, but really getting involved in that, from a hands-on, perspective, in the space that we spend the majority of our time in the manufacturing world, those individuals go in and they've got to fix a problem. They've got to get that piece of equipment running. Right. And then in that environment, if you're going down the skilled trade space, it provides a lot more opportunity to be outside, or if not even outside, at least a change of scenery, versus, a lot of positions, a lot of jobs are much more stationary.
Yeah, sitting in front of a computer all day.
Yeah. And so if that's, not picking on, I talked to an accountant yesterday, who's done a great job building his business. That's what he wanted to do. It's what he loves to do. But that's, again, it's just evaluating what makes you tick.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting because we ask these questions about people. So these kind of questions that Brett threw out there, and I have a couple, is really, if you find yourself going like, yeah, that's kind of me, then maybe pursuing a skilled trade, regardless of what stage of life you're in, may be a fit for you. So a few more questions to think about is, are you a type of person that enjoys the satisfaction of seeing something tangible produced, like at the end of a day, or the end of a shift, or the end of some period of time? I can look at something and say, yes, I did that. Guys that build houses, work on cars, what have you. Even these guys that you can't see on the other side of this camera that put this podcast together, they're tangibly putting a bunch of information together, and they finish with an end product. So is that you? Then maybe you're drawn into skilled trades. Or what about an aptitude for automation, robotics, technology, engineering principles, but the idea of sitting 6 years in college and listening to a professor drone on and on about most of the information you don't really need. Now, there is a need, don't get me wrong, there is a need for that we have to have engineers. But if you like those principles, but you prefer to apply them with your hands, maybe a skilled trade job in the skilled trade or pursuing that is right for you. And finally, what about the idea that I want to do something now? I'd like to get started now. I don't want to wait 5, 6, 8 years down the road with a bunch of debt and starting from the bottom. I want to start now. So those questions, if you're able to answer those questions and you say, yeah, that sounds like me, then listen to the following recommendations we're going to give you about how you get into this. So let's give them a couple of ideas.
Yeah, we talked about it a minute ago about the different, generational groups, but, whether you're an older worker looking for a change, or you're a younger person just intrigued by the opportunities, the question still remains, that we're going to get into is how do you pursue a career as a professional skilled trades, men or woman. In this case, obviously, in our business, we have both. There's a lot of ladies that are choosing to get involved in this space as well.
Should we say skilled trades person?
Probably.
We're not real good with the whole pronoun thing, are we? So,
the old tradesman.
You work with your hands. I don't care what gender you are.
Yeah. So that's where do you start? What trades do you pursue? I think you have to assess. What are your own personal interests and strengths? There's some great aptitude testing out there. You can kind of go, but you can also kind of know, hey, I've always liked tinkering with the lawnmower, or I really like technology. That's really where. So both of those have applications in the trades, but it starts to allow you to figure out kind of what path you want to go down. So research that. Do the research. The beauty of the internet. Not everything's great about the internet, but one of the great things about the internet is the ability to research, to really look into, maybe what's your national gifting, and then look at things like, what are the growth opportunities? How much a demand is there? What are the wages? What are the benefits? You can really do a lot of homework. Don't get a year into something that you didn't really research very well and then go, well, I wish I'd have gone down a different path. Yeah. And so, try to get ahead of that. So.
Yeah, so, we talked about technology, especially if you're familiar with getting out there and you looking up YouTube videos or just Google, hey, what are the top 10 highest paying skilled trade jobs? Or what are the highest demand skilled trade jobs? And from that, take a look at those. If any of them kind of tweak your interest, then start looking at what we mentioned. Look at YouTube videos. You can look at YouTube videos on showing what a day in the life of one of those trades would be, and then you just start pursuing what it looks like. So we believe that there are many paths to get to a career in the trades, but these are the three primary paths that you can use to get yourself into a trade where you're certified, skilled, and can make a living doing it. The first one is kind of the one that's most well known. It's probably a technical or trade school. So this is, think of post-secondary. So usually post-high school, you got a GED, you got a high school diploma, maybe you're currently in high school, but technical or trade schools are designed to teach a specific set of skills for a certain technical or mechanical trades. And this also, by the way, includes military. That's my background, military. You go to the military, they'll send you to a first school that you go to learn the basics of your trade. And from that, you'll go into a specific field that applies that directly. So the benefits of a trade school is that it's highly focused on that trade that you're after. If you're going to learn to be a PLC technician, programmable logic control technician. And if you do that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're not going to learn about the romantic period of poetry. That's not going to be part of your curriculum. You're going to focus on that trade or that skill. There's going to be a lot of hands-on training. There'll be some class time, some theory, some lecture, but mostly hands-on The instructors you have will be very much skilled in that. Well, they will have come out of that field. They will know exactly what they're doing, and they'll teach you exactly what you need to do. So some theory, but really mostly doing. Trade schools typically have flexible hours because a lot of people going to trade schools also have jobs. So there's a lot of balance, and maybe after hours, maybe weekends. So they accommodate that. Usually trade schools anywhere from a few months to up to a year. Some highly specialized can maybe take a couple of years. But somewhere in that time frame, you'll get the training and you'll be able to come out of there with the ability to go get a job. So that's the first one. That's trade school path.
Yeah, so, kind of the second path, and, some of this has been around for a long time. I think it's increasing in a kind of a little different light, here, but being part of an apprentice program. So, generally it's on-the-job training in a specific field. You're going to have a combination of book learning in that. Obviously you're going to, especially like if it's electrical, journeyman is a great example of that, where you're going to be in the electrical code, you're going to be learning, but you're going to be working alongside somebody who's a master electrician, so that becomes that apprenticeship program. That is more formal. That is, so if you're going to be in certain trades, like an electrician or a plumber, a lot of them, the unions have been very good at growing people into these fields. The good and bad of it is they tend to they're a long program. You're going to be in a journeyman role for an extended period of time. Now the reward on the other side can be pretty good. But some people just want to get there quicker, and right. So but apprenticeship program in one of those specific trades, plumbing, or an electrician and some of the others. But also now we're seeing, and have for a while, but, you can also have apprenticeship programs, just inside of companies. A lot of companies going basically to trade schools, taking people out of there and then putting them into their apprenticeship program. So it'd be, less more informed, but you're getting paid while you learn. So there's a process. You come in as a level 1, mechanic, and there's this process through training in this apprenticeship program where you're getting to come alongside somebody who's seasoned in that. So companies are recognizing they're going to have to train from within and kind of grow the talent as opposed to just going out and picking it off trees. Right. And so kind of the process of any apprenticeship program, whether it's a formal, process to become an electrician, or it's less formal inside of a company, is going to be that typical process. I do, you watch. I do, you help. You do, I watch and help if necessary, and then you do. And so, it's that, it's a very hands-on, less in the classroom, which for some people, they just don't like being in the classroom.
Right.
And so that's another option, the apprenticeship.
Yeah, and the last one is really kind of a combination of probably apprenticeship and what we just called up through the ranks, and you learn as you go. And really, this is, in my research, one individual who's 25 years old, has his own company now, has his own plumbing company, has 6 plumbers working for him. He just basically started working in his teens for a construction company, learned a little bit of that, learned a little bit of wiring. He kind of took a job here, took a job there. He got to working a little closer with some plumbers, saw the opportunity for that, kind of had an aptitude for it. He took some classes, and then he started his own plumbing company. And now he's got 6 employees. He's 25 years old, got 6 employees. So he basically learned it on his own, self-taught, and now he's got other more skilled plumbers working for him. He's got his own company. So that blue-collar entrepreneurship as you go. So this up through the ranks is you start at some entry-level, non-skilled position, and you learn as you go. Like a lot of companies you alluded to, Brett, you start as a frontline production worker. You show a little aptitude, a little interest. You get somebody to start showing you how to do things. You learn how to tinker on the piece of equipment you're working on as a production worker. And then you get involved in one of their maybe apprenticeships. They team you up with somebody, and you learn it as you go. So this provides you opportunity to experience a lot of different things, find out what you really like, get broad-based experience, and then learn it, get aggressive about learning what you like to do. And it doesn't mean you have to do that forever, but this is a great way to explore and find out if it's something you like to do. So those are the three paths: trade school, apprenticeships, whether formal or informal, and then just learn as you go up through the ranks.
Yep. I think, the bottom line advice for those who are considering, going down the path of skilled trades, or what some refer to as a blue-collar career, is, talk to those that do it. Talk to those that are in the trades currently. I mean, it's if you're being, recruited to go play sports, you go visit those colleges, you talk to the players, you learn, so this would be no different. I mean, you are the talent, now you got to develop that talent, but figure out where you want to go. So go talk to a trade school, talk to an instructor. You're going to learn there. Do your research like we talked before. There's a ton of information. You can go out there on the web or YouTube. Even Department of Labor has a lot of information on kind of what different jobs are. And then in our case, or in anybody's case, but we have a lot of recruiters. So we recruit for these positions. So talk to a recruiter, and a recruiter will say, hey, I've got all these opportunities. Here's the skill set it's going to take for you to be able to get there. But what are the opportunities out there? That's another way to start to understand and look for that. We have companies that will bring in people that are very experienced, but they will also bring in people that are on the front end of that. So a recruiter that's in this particular space, has a lot of that knowledge as to what are some of the opportunities. So.
Yeah, and I think as you learn, especially if you're breaking into the trades, level set your expectations and recognize that getting experience doing something. Don't expect to come in if you read a USA Today article and said you can make $42 an hour as a plumber. That's not day one you walk in the door. That's somebody who knows what they're doing. So, but if you recognize that the experience you're getting, there's value in that, you're learning, and then you apply that, you'll be able to get to where you need to go. So just a quote from one of our employees is a new electromech, the electrician mechanical hybrid we call electromech, and just asked about this, and he said, vocational programs offer an easy way to get your foot in the door with hands-on experience, but once you find the trade that's right for you, give it your all. There's no easy shortcuts. Learn, or rather lean into learning a new skill, do the hard work that's required, and emerge a master at the craft. Pretty good advice. So that's it. Hopefully that gave you some advice about how to get into the trades, why you should, some of the things that may indicate that you have an aptitude for it. So we hope that you pursue a opportunity in trades. I can tell you right now that there is a tremendous amount of opportunity for you, not only now, but in the foreseeable future. If you get in the trade, you're not going to have to worry about landing a job or taking care of your family. There's plenty of opportunity for you, and it's not just back-breaking labor with no engaging of your mind. Very much the converse of that. It's very challenging and a great opportunity, so we encourage you to jump into that. We also like to mention that we are a title sponsor of a great show, hunting and fishing show called Texas Boys Outdoors. Encourage you to go over to the Pursuit channel and check those guys out. Roy and his team, great job. They support military, first responders, kids with needs. We're proud to sponsor them, so we encourage you to go take a look at that. Also, we do another podcast at Skillwork called The Proud Skill Worker that really focuses on our tradesmen, the guys that we just talked about. We interview them, we pick their brain, we find out what makes them tick, and so we encourage you to go take a look at that as well. So hopefully this had a benefit to you, and we ask you to join us again next time. Until then, have a great day. God bless.